I'm Garland Thompson, Media and Program Manager for the Salinas Public Library. These interviews are presented as part of Salinas Stories. The interviews are as recorded and do not necessarily represent the views of the City of Salinas or the Salinas Public Library. For further information, see the City of Salinas Disclosure and Use Policy.
I've seen a lot of accidents in Santa Rita, let me tell you, especially in front of Shamrock. In the little store, the Shamrock, and the graveyard was where most of the accidents took place.
Dip in there and stuff.
Yeah, well, we had one night when we were kids, there used to be where the church is. On the other side of that, there's a locker, storage locker now, but there used to be a truck stop, and it was called the Night Owl Cafe.
Where those condos and all that stuff are now?
Where the storage lockers are, right next to the church, the new storage deal.
Oh, yeah.
That used to be that used to be a truck stop, used to be a gas station,
The
pumps.
same side as the church.
Yeah, and then right next to the church, there was the Night Owl Cafe. That was the name of it back then, the Night Owl Cafe. And we knew them all. We used to hang out there all the time. Everybody knew us over there. We didn't even use the doors, we used to use the windows to get in. So, but there's a lot of accidents up there,
That's right over the brink of the hill, so it's hard to get in and out.
We had a truck roll all the way from the restaurant, all the way down to where the Shamrock is.
Yeah.
Well, we live this side of the Shamrock where the bridge is.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So with the bridge, and then our house, then the Shamrock, and this truck came rolling down the hill because I guess he was drunk. But back then, the bridge wasn't made of cement. It was wood, railroad ties, old style. And that truck, it rolled all the way from the church all the way down, and it was one of them flat-nosed diesels.
Yeah.
So the top came forward and it slid all the way across the bridge. And my bedroom was right here, my brother's over here, and my mom's and sisters. And it was about 2:30. We heard some explosions, but that was the tires blowing up because when they hit the bridge, it blew up. So everything caught fire, So, if that bridge wouldn't have been there, it would have went through my bedroom, But But anyway, it was a rude awakening one morning. It was, still remember stuff like that. That's why they used to call it Blood Alley.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many kids run over there, and it's.
Just trying to cross the street.
Yeah, right there in front of the Capitol. The drunk people come out of the Shamrock and get hit right there in front of the damn deal. It's,
Yeah.
Were there a lot of bars in Santa Rita?
just one. Oh, wait a minute. No, there was
There's a Bavarian.
the Shamrock, the Frank's Bavarian, and then the Capitol. And the Capitol's still there.
There's no bar in it now. It's just
I
a
haven't been down there
It's
but
a
that's,
hotel
oh, is it?
now.
Yeah, well,
No, there's no bar in there. And the Bavarian's now a laundromat.
yeah. It was Frank's Bavarian Inn
And it was
way back then.
It was still there in '95. It was still Bavarian.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
And
Probably was. I haven't kept up with it because everything's changing over there. They got that park. None of that stuff was there, In fact,
Well, it's a laundromat.
there only used to be about where Frank's Bavarian Inn, there only used to be one house on the other side of that, a big Victorian owned by the Espinosas.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of Espinosas in Santa Rita. If you can get some of them, they all live there all their lives too.
Yeah.
And I think Maria Espinosa and her husband, I think they both passed, I don't know, but the kids are still running around the area. I haven't seen any of them lately, but
Yeah, the Mosses are still there too. They live behind Mike Ford's
Yeah.
house there
yeah.
on Boulevard.
We used to, like for extra money, over on, let's see, you know where the old barber shop was? Ponce's Barber Shop? It's not there anymore. They put 7-Eleven there now, but
Well, the 7-Eleven, I know.
That used to be Ponce's Barbershop back in the old days. They had old man Ponce, he's a little Filipino guy, used to do our hair from, I remember since little guy. I think he's the one that done my first haircut. But anyway, my dad used to take me there all the time, you know, for haircuts and stuff. But he had a couple of sons, about 3 sons and a daughter. They all lived in the back of the barbershop,
Okay,
you know.
very
And,
common.
yeah. Then let's see. And then the Venegases lived behind the barbershop. That house is still there. Venegas's ain't. And then it used to be Frances Blancas. Now, Frances Blancas, she was a white lady, probably in her 60s. But in her garage, she would, her husband, who was a Filipino, was related to this guy named Ben Chin. If you ever heard of the Chin ranches,
Yeah.
well, like over in Prunedale, he's got one out there. I used to work as a
Down
kid.
in Santa Rita Creek, there's a Chin Ranch.
Yeah, yeah. Well, maybe he's related, but anyway, Francis Blancas used to get, he used to be into those onions, you know, green onions. And so she set up a place in her garage, and she had about 8 or 10 ladies from all over the Santa Rita come, and they'd be bunching onions. Then they'd hire us kids to go over there and bunch, you know, if we wanted as many, she can get out when they were getting behind. And, you know,
So the green onions came from the field on the other side of the road there?
no, the onions came from Prunedale, Ben Chin's ranch. Because we ended up working out there as we got older, and used to go do thinning and stuff like that, or washing onions, and then send them to Francis in big crates so they could bunch them up and then take them in and sell them, you know. So
Where'd they sell them at? Do you know where they sold them at?
I don't know. He used to take the whole truckload to shippers. I know he had a big flat truck, and we'd load all the onions at the end of the day.
Yeah, they could go anywhere then.
Yeah. They were, I guess, a good seller because everybody wanted onion. But,
Yeah.
you know, after the first cry, when you start doing onions, you know, onions make people.
Yeah.
I found out that after the first cry, then you're good for the whole day, man. So that's what I had to go hide myself when my eyes are running. It looked like everybody does it though, you know, until you get your eyes used to it, and then you know. But every day you've got to go through one cry. I got tired looking at onions, so they used to have up here where the Firestone store is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you were coming down San Juan Grade Road and you hit the stoplight there, well, back in the old days, there was no Firestone there.
Right,
In
there's no
fact, Firestone was too busy destroying land over here and by Chular, you know. It's funny, you know, because they paid the city of Salinas $4 million, Firestone, to stop the lawsuits. That was something else. They contaminated that much land.
They did.
Yep. And they left.
It's
They
still
took the
fun.
money, stopped the. Yeah, it was something else. So anyway, but you come off of the San Juan Grade Road, and where the Firestone is, that used to be a bunch of eucalyptus trees there, and then it was going towards Santa Rita. It was a labor camp called Christensen Brothers. So we used to work there when we were in.
That's kind of where North Ridge.
Started high school, yeah. When we started high school, you know, we didn't have school vacation. My dad had us sometimes in the field about 9 years old, you know, so we did that for extra money to go to the flicks. We were still walking back then, you know. You'd be lucky if somebody was going to town, but that's how we used to get around. We'd go out, all walk out to Crazy Horse. They got this little lake off to the side of the road there. You see the ducks and well, when we were kids, we didn't know they belonged to anybody. It was just water. So we'd grab our fishing poles after school, and we'd walk from Santa Rita all the way down there.
Yeah.
You know, and one time we caught 170 fish in one day, and the next day we caught 102 fish. Then we found out the farmer was stocking it. You know, so we can't go back there no more. So that ended that. So yeah, it was funny. But all the guys, you know, we'd just walk around and go fishing and stuff like that, or go down the lane. I never knew.
What's the lane?
Well, the lane, I'm not really sure why it's there. My uncle back, I can't remember how old I was, but I was small, and we would walk towards what we call the lane. That's a group of eucalyptus trees out on the other side.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
see, you got to imagine that with no freeway there.
Right.
So we could walk through Salinas and Moss's Field, or we'd ride a big log on the creek all the way down to the lane, pretend like we were Tom Sawyer with the big poles, but that's only on the heavy rains and stuff, because when it flooded out there, people didn't back then think that's flooding. That was just regular rain. We had about a 4-foot porch, and if the water didn't go past the top deal, it ain't flooded. That's how you had to. But that's when we'd get in the creek and play around, all kinds of kid games and stuff, and we could let the dogs run with us down the lane. Like I said, my uncle told me one time, because we were walking, we went past the lane, and he goes, "Did you know?" He goes, "This is the original main street for Sotoville." And I says, I never knew that. He goes, "See that location right there?" Yeah, he goes, "That's where the post office used to be."
Oh, down there. By the
See, that's why it's kind of interesting that I've been looking still, and I haven't found it yet, but I want to see a map of Sotoville.
I think Laverne has one.
Of Sotoville?
She might.
Because I'd like to find out if that's the original Main Street going past the lane, because that's what he told me as a kid. He says, then because we'd walk past the lane, and that's a little bit from Santa Rita, and then if you go past it, Mrs. Warren's, who also, she was a very rich lady, her and her husband, that came from England. Their grave markers are still behind Santa Rita. I mean, at the church there, next to my grandmother and grandfather and brothers. But supposedly they had something to do with the Sotos and the land for Santa Rita. They were from England, though. My grandmother knew her real well. I used to work my grandmother would tell her how good a work I did, yard work, so I ended up working for her out there, cutting trees and trimming the garden. And she was talked in English, like, "It's not a tomato, it's a tomato." That kind of, yeah. But she was a nice old lady, and I'd take her, she'd tell my grandma she had to go uptown, she wanted to go shop, so I'd grab the station wagon and put her and my grandmother, take them uptown. But she had a deal for flowers, that old lady, Miss Warren's. If she was walking by somebody's house, she goes, "Well, I'm just going to take a little slip of that flower." She wouldn't take but she would take it home and try and grow it. My grandmother always ended up growing it for her, because she was good in the garden. But, that was years back ago, So I know they got some history here. They had something to do with Sotoville. I'd like to see that picture of Sotoville, because there's supposed to be a treasure over there someplace. Now, even in, what's that called? Fremont's Peak. There's a treasure that was lost out there by supposedly Colonel Fremont, and he wasn't even a colonel, he was more militia deal. Supposedly the Queen of England had sent him for his campaign a small gold cannon. And the cannon is supposedly embedded with jewels, and I think it was something like 10 inches long. And supposedly that when they were fighting with the Mexicans over here in Gavilan Acres, the Indians had come down from the mountains and stole that cannon, and they think it's hidden up there someplace. They never have found it. Because my sister bought a book, Treasures of California, old treasures that weren't found, and it listed that in there. That's where I first seen that.
Fremont's Peak, so
It says Fremont's Peak, that the cannon was stole there. They think the Indians buried it over there, someplace up in Fremont's Peak or towards the Pinnacles, someplace around that area. But I never knew that kind of stuff, and it was interesting. And my mom used to tell me about the copper casket that was under the church.
Didn't you guys play with it?
Well, every time we get caught, you know, it always seemed to be somebody there to watch. My mother and her brother used to say, you know, oh yeah, that coffin was under there, and that she never went back and checked it out again. She'd only seen it because her brother Topo, his nickname's Topo, told her, check this out, you know. Well, she said that she always knew it was there. That back then they used to have the funeral deals in that little church, and then they would take them and they'd bury them out because they only found they got 365 names on that plaque. There's a lot more than that because back then they used to bury them on top of each other. I remember as kids, I mean, you'd see them sunk way down, and they just put another deal over the top of it. And in fact, there's graves outside the fence area there, all the way down that deal. I seen like I say, in the news. Oh, it's got to be 20 years ago. I watched, maybe 10 years ago, 15 years. I seen they did an advertisement on the KSBW News about Santa Rita, that the lamplighter behind Santa Rita School was haunted. And this guy was complaining. So that's the first time I'd seen him. They did a 15-minute segment on the news about Santa Rita and the graveyard, because the graveyard is, back when I went to school, you know, they didn't have all these fences and shit behind Santa Rita School. And that park there wasn't a park. It was just a little Bear Creek running through there. And grass and tombstones. Nothing but granite tombstones all over, unearthed, you know, laid down, and all the way up the hill. My grandmother and my mom used to tell me, yeah, the graveyard runs all the way to the top of the church up there, and that's what they said, that the spirits, Indian spirits, haunting the lamplighter, because that guy couldn't sleep. He was noises, and he was seeing shadows, and he wanted it to be, just know if it was haunted. So they did that segment on the deal there. It was kind of trippy.
There used to be a cemetery there where Lamplighter is.
Yeah, there's an Indian burial ground.
And the farmer ripped out the headstones.
Well, that's just, I knew this guy named Ben Chin. I went to school with him, and he used to plow the fields over here on Bronda Road for his dad. In fact, where that Chili's is, right across the street, that ranch there, that's where he used to live. And they, like I say, none of that was there, so it was all fields. And he plowed up. They found a graveyard in that field there, you know, because he dug them up with a tractor.
Right.
You know, plowing it, dug up skulls and stuff. Well, they're supposed to stop work and all that, but back in them days, you know, they just put a housing project over it, and they say, hell with it.
What year was this done?
Well, this got to be around 67, 66, because I was still in high school, and that's when that took place, when I was in high school.
Yeah. So didn't you guys used to play under the church?
Yeah, you could crawl under it.
You said you got caught, but you know.
Yeah, we could crawl under there. I never got to see that deal. My brother, two brothers seen it, and it scared me. I just didn't want to see stuff like that. You know, we used to play a game in Santa Rita where all the guys, would probably be 10 or 15 of us, would get together after dinner, and not having nothing to do, we used to play like a hide and seek games, and we'd use the whole town. You know, hide in the graveyard or hide, but you know, you'd have to holler out every now and then, so that way they get some kind of idea where you're at. And we'd use the whole town. Some guys just went home and watched TV. That was bad, you know. Yeah, but you know, that's how wide open it was back then, you know. You see Sobranis' dad, Augie Sobranis, he's the grandfather, I guess, who died. Him and Art Fulton, who lived across the street by the school, you know, being there was so much flat land, you'd see the deer, and you'd see them, a couple of farmers chasing after them with guns, chasing them towards Bowles and Knolls over here, you know, because that's how the wildlife used to get it down over here. And every now and then, where we lived, the land curves around, around the back part of the Shamrock and goes out towards the lane. And my grandmother lived on the other side, so they built a wooden bridge so we could go see her, at night and stuff. And then she lived on Brutus, and then the Sobranises and Wilcox and Fords. And,
Yeah, you're on one side of the creek and there. Yeah.
and then Mrs. Perry, now, she was married to a man named Wilbur who lived right next door to my grandmother. So we crossed over the bridge, and my grandmother knew her real good. And they used, what's unique about her was when I was a kid too. I think this was when I was in grammar school though. I used to go on Saturdays, she would tell me, come tomorrow at 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. A kid don't really, he's got something else planned, want to go. But anyway, I knew she was going out to Moss Landing because she had bought herself a little Chevrolet station wagon, and she put a big steamer in the back of it, and every Saturday she'd load that deal up with hot dogs, and we'd go to the beach and we would trade or sell chili dogs on the beach. And she put a big sign on her car. It was called the Bun and Run. Yep, I remember all that stuff. That was in my younger years. But yeah, so and she owned about 3 or 4 houses going down towards on Brutus. It went with that big lot. She had about 3 houses on that deal. But they all passed on, I guess, or the parents took over. I mean, their kids took over. So I haven't heard no more from them. Just it's looking different. And like I say, there's got to be, I feel there's a dig site over there, because I remember when we were kids also by Sobranis' area, if you look straight out, you'll see the lane and the freeway. If you look off to the left here where New Jack City is, and then part of right before that hotel or motel, whatever they got there, Little Bear Creek makes that big turn and goes down the lane. Well, we used to dig on the bank there as kids, making caves and stuff like that there. And we dug up old rifle and a sword. And I still remember the sword. It said Argentina, and it was dated 1891. It had it written on there. But as kids, one of the older kids well, let me see that, and then that's the last time you've seen it. But I seen this old gun we dug up with a hex barrel and a fancy trigger guard on, all rusted, of course. But if they're embedded on the side of that bank, there's got to be something there.
Yeah.
So that was on Thibault's land. He owned that little section there up to the creek, and then they had the across from Sobranis's, Delphina used to live in that yellow house, whatever color house it is now. And then on the other side of that, it ain't there anymore, but there used to be a Filipino camp. See, and every Sunday, Saturday, the Filipino guy, I think my sister knew his name, Ray or something, but they'd go down to the dog kennel and find themselves a nice fat dog. And on Sunday, at Saturday night, after they got the dog, they would give the dog hamburger and rice. So the dog would eat till he'd gorge himself. And then in the next morning, the dog's on the spit. And when he's done cooking the dog, they burn the hair off and everything with a barbecue deal. Then they cut the stomach open and eat the cooked rice that the dog ate the night before. That's the camp that was there.
Yeah.
But they finally got in trouble because they got caught for having rooster fights and stuff like that, so it ended their deal. And the camp, it's not there no more. We used to go down and catch spiders around the creek there because they had some, I don't know, I'm scared of spiders now, but back then, they had some big ones in all different colors, yellow, red, and we'd go down, it was like nothing catching those big deals, because they had these big vines that went around by the camp. And then we'd take them home as pets and stuff like that, or, gee, that's stupid, that's something else. Or I'd walk down the lane, and, you know, back then you could walk around with a .22 rifle, because they figured you're just gonna go hunting. So we'd walk down the lane, and we'd, 5 of us one time, you know, well, all right, we're gonna eat this and that, wherever we shoot, we're gonna eat it. Well, all day we're out there and we kill one little quail. You know, to split it 5 ways and you got a drumstick about that big, you know, you don't get much of a taste, you know. But anyway, that's our hunting trips, you know, that was something else. Even behind that lane about Santa Rita being the main street, you know, right where it's, when you get past the lane, it turns into a kind of a thicket with trees and all that stuff. Well, we, as kids, when we'd go through that thicket, instead of going around, we used to follow the fields around, but sometimes we'd go straight through it. And, you know, there was an old adobe house in there that way back then that it was just, I don't know why or what it was, but there was only 3 walls left standing on it, but they probably knocked it all down now, but it was right past the lane there. I was kind of wondering, you know, maybe that was part of the old Santa Rita deal, but I never found out. My uncle didn't know either. That, yeah, we'd go back there to the old landfill, which is up, if you look on the opposite side toward Espinosa Road, that like it slopes up. Well, that side of the bank there, that's the old Santa Rita landfill. We used to go dig up old bottles over there and stuff like that. That's where he showed me all that. So yeah, it was interesting, you know.
Can you talk a little more, since we have the cameras running now, about working in the bar? What was that like when you worked in the Shamrock and your mom and all that stuff?
Well, I got good tips because they say, oh, look at that little guy, man, bringing this firewood into the fireplace and bringing beers and stocking them in the deal like that. You know, some of the patrons there, they'd throw me 50 cents. Back then, that was a lot of money. I mean, you know, yeah, well, paying a nickel for a candy bar, you know, that was pretty good. You know, so, yeah, I didn't mind working there. I mean, he only gave us like 50 cents a day, but sometimes you'd make more just off of his customers because they all knew you. And my mom, you know, she worked there on the weekends. My grandmother started out working there and let my mom take over her job. So my grandmother must have been back when, well, it's got to be earlier than the 40s, because I seen a picture. My friends got pictures of the old Santa Rita, and it shows, well, it shows different places I never thought that were back then. Even the Shamrock was still there, and the school, of course. Even my mom went through Santa Rita School. You know, that's how long they were living in Santa Rita.
Do you know anything about their background, or how they got to Santa Rita, or where they came from? Or?
Well, I tried looking into my grandfather deal, and I get lost when something about, he was Spanish and Italian. His last name was Majetti, and my grandmother's name, yeah. But no, her name was Majetti, yeah. And his name was Fernandez. Yeah, that was it. Because my grandmother, she's part Italian and Swiss. Yeah, and then we got Indian from my grandmother's side, and my dad's got Indian through his side, you know, because he's part Aztec or something like that from over there. So we didn't know anything about any Indian deal because they told us that we weren't supposed to talk about that back then because people get mad. So when my grandmother used to have meetings at her house for a lot of the older ladies would go over there, and they would be talking Indian stuff now, but they had to do it in closed doors, and because of people talk, or I don't know what the deal was. We couldn't claim it in school. Yeah, we couldn't claim it in school or nothing. So it was we didn't understand all that stuff back then. It didn't bother us. We were still kids, you know. Let's see. You know, the Shamrock, I mean, that's where I seen my first fight. You know, you get a couple of them guys with too much in them. Of course, my uncle, I think he lived up there part of the time, but they used to, it took 6 cops to bring him down one time because my mom's brother was just a big guy and strong, you know, and he had fell out of a car one time going around a turn, and it crippled his legs, so he walked bow-legged. And a lot of people, you know, just make fun of him. Well, you make fun of the wrong people because he was just one bad man. And so they turned him in one time because they used to rob him all the time, you know, because he would work he died young, about 47, but he died from insect spray poisoning, you know, because back then they weren't wearing no kind of respirator mask to do these insecticides in the fields, and he drove tractor, and it killed him, you know. But I remember one time somebody turned him in, and he hid out under the old bridge, and it took 6 cops to bring him out of there. And let me tell you, they were hitting him with sticks, and they couldn't bring him down. He was throwing cops. He was a strong man, you know. But
What was his name?
Willie, my Uncle Willie. Yeah, he died 47 years old.
Was he Martinez?
No, he was a Fernandez.
Fernandez.
Yeah, my mom's brother. Let's see.
So you would go into the Shamrock and work after school, stocking
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah, only about a couple hours, then I could go eat, and then the rest of the night up until about 10 was mine. You
you're
know.
like 12 years old or something. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. And,
So who would come into the Shamrock?
well, mainly old farmers and stuff that lived in the area. Let's see, my mom used to know a lot of them, so my grandmother knows a lot of these landowners that lived out on Old Stage Road. They owned them ranches out there. She told me one time about, she knew the guy that owned Permanetti out here. Okay, and she goes, you know, he was a real nice man. He had all that cement stuff that they were just experimenting into, and anyway they told him if he wanted to sell it, you know, and being he didn't want to sell it because he didn't want to have a lot of money. He was, my grandmother used to say, he walked around in old clothes and stuff like that, and you wouldn't think he had money, but he had worked a deal out with Permanetti over there that he would lease them the land, 99-year lease, and all they had to pay him was $50 a day. And that's the way until he died. He had $50 a day coming in out of that deal.
Still a lot of money back
Yeah, back then, yeah, sure. But she said he's always in the Shamrock. Most of them are always in the Shamrock that I've seen, you know, because he used to have big barbecues out there. And a lot of people, when the Jallises took over, they, when Gus bought it, because it was closed for a long time, but then they remodeled a little bit, put burl tables and nice floor and a barbecue pit, and people from Monterey that were, he knew a lot of Greek people, and they'd have Greek music, Greek bands out there, you know, and they wouldn't stay in the bar. They were outside all over the place back then,
Is
you
this
know.
who you work for?
Yeah, yeah. The old man was named Gus, like I say. He was a nice old man. He was strictly from Greece, though. And I guess this was his son, because they were named Georgialis or something like that. But they always had lamb going and stuff like that. I like when they had barbecues, big old pieces of meat like that. We used to get the leftovers next day. Sometimes, you know, it's pretty good. But yeah, it was. Everybody knew everybody. You know, you got the Adams Motel straight across. One guy one day tried to kill himself in there in one of the rooms. So he just laid down on the bed and turned the gas on, waited about an hour, and lit a cigarette. So when we heard the explosion, you know, we were up by the old surplus store, up by the store, and there was no more roof left. I mean, he just downright made that whole place into a bomb. It just took out that whole unit. they had to put a whole new room back in there, you know. But yeah, guess he shouldn't have lit that cigarette. So you know, there was let's see
I
what.
guess he was successful then.
Yeah, he only did it once, and it worked. Yeah.
A little wild.
Yeah, that was the old days stuff. You know, for a couple of years when I was a kid, during Christmas, I can't remember who it was. Might have been even Moss's. I'm not sure, but somebody used to come around with a cow-drawn cart, long wagon, and then it would Christmas, and it'd be filled with hay, and they'd get all the kids, drive around, all the kids on the back, and you go sing Christmas carols through Santa Rita. You know, that was something we did. I guess it promoted friendship or something. I don't.
Moss's store.
Yeah, I never know. Yeah, that was an old store there. I mean, back then I guess Moss leased it out to a man named Sam Bayo. Yeah, he was a store owner, but he used to let us work there too, and we could earn candy and pop and you know. But
Do you remember what that building looked like?
the little store, my friend's got a picture of it.
Oh, okay.
My friend's got a picture of all of Santa Rita from aerial view, and it shows all the lane, everything that was original there. Ponce's Barber Shop, that's not there no more, and Cruz's Saddle Shop. The building's there, but not the.
Was the inside of the store that had like a wood floor? And
Yeah, it was dirt floor.
Dirt.
It was dirt floor. The only wood he had on outside to walk on was like a porch deal. You walked into the store, but you stepped down in dirt floors. That was an old store. Yeah.
Milburn had a picture.
And then next to that was Van Gas. That was that propane deal. That was the newest thing in Santa Rita. But when they built that, it ain't there no more. It used to be across from Frank's Bavarian Inn. There was some guy, you know, he rode around Santa Rita on his motorcycle. All us guys, you know, were hanging together, probably about 6 or 8 of us, and we knew him. I forgot his name, but he was bragging, "Oh, I just bought this brand new motorcycle." You know, all right, yeah, really nice. So he went to Frank's Bavarian Inn. He can have a couple of beers, and he start bragging about his bike in there. "Oh, I got this motorcycle." He goes, "I think I can get 90 miles an hour from the top of the church to Frank's Bavarian Inn." In that, you know, and so a bunch of guys start betting him. "No, you can't. Here, I bet you $20 you can't get 90 out of that bike from the church to the Frank's Bavarian Inn." Well, he made 90, but he went out of control right before he hit Frank's Bavarian Inn, right before he was going to pass the propane deal. He veered off there. He went into the cyclone fence, you know, and it killed him. Yeah, I mean, new bike, dead body, he's dead. So we heard about it, and we went around looking over there, and the next day, you know, just seeing where the accident happened and all this. And a friend of mine, I think it was Reuben, kicking the dirt, and the guy's chin was there. It still had the mustache. So we had to call Highway Patrol and come pick it up. Yeah, it had to be there.
Shredded
Yeah, on that cyclone fence is what did it. But he went out of control. They said he was going 90 all right. Oh, man, I guess so. He only did it once. Yeah, I remember as kids, me and my brother, George, you know, we were living next to the Shamrock. Nothing to do on Saturday, so we used to say, well, let's go down and walk to the lane, find something to do, get in trouble or whatever. But anyway, we made it as far as the other side of Salinas, almost to Moss's field, and we were following Little Bear Creek. So my brother George was, all right, let's dig a cave. He wanted to, I forgot what game we're playing, we wanted to dig a cave. So he was digging a little cave with a stick out of the side of the bank, and I had one that was already dug, so I was over here, and then I heard him say, oh, he goes, it's getting cold in this cave. And it's broad daylight. I mean, the sun's out. It's not cold. He just wanted to have a fire inside his cave. So he lit the fire inside the cave. See, all around the cave deal where he dug, there's nothing but dry grass. So one of the sparks went up and caught, and so he had this piece of cardboard. He's going to swat it out. So he hit it, and now you got 8 fires lit. So as kids, it scared the hell out of us. So what do? Run. The fire's out of control. We can't put it out. And it's already starting to draw spectators from back at Salinas. So we ran down the creek and ran towards the lane. Well, there used to be, Moss's had a road that went up this little hill. So he's going to run up there, and we said, we'll just run all the way around Santa Rita and come back to the house and make it look like somebody else did it. You know, so we made it up the hill, and here comes Billy Massa. That was their land. He goes, I seen you guys light that fire. Oh, man. I go, yeah, we had to think of something quick. So he says, you know, we got twin brothers, and they're dressed just like us today. You know, we wasn't going to fall for it. But he says, I seen you guys. No, we swore up and down it was our twin brothers and dressed like us. So he goes, get in the truck. He takes us all the way back. My mom and grandmother at the edge of the ditch, watching the fire department just arriving. But they just let it burn all the way down to the lane. Said it had to be burned anyway. We didn't know we were going to light it for them, you know. But anyway, we got in trouble for that big time. And Billy Massa caught us. Yeah, I seen you guys do it. No, it was our twin brothers. That was the only thing we could think of. We were scared. I mean, you know, that fire took off. Man. And I remember, you know, like I say, everything being kind of cheap at the store, but even with less money, you know, meant it was worth more. So my mom told me one day I need you to go to the store, and I didn't want to go because I was watching TV and after school cartoon, and I didn't really want to go, so I gave her a hassle. Anyway, I said I have to go anyway. So I said, well, I'm going to stop at my grandmother's and see if she wants any store. And then her friend lives across on the other side of Shamrock, and I'll ask her if she wants any store. That way they used to give me a quarter or nickel or a dime, and so I'd score. Eh? So I stopped at my grandmother's, and she gave me something to go to the store. And then Miss Espinosa, Amelia, my grandmother's friend, she gave me some money to go to the store for her too. And I remember walking up behind the Shamrock, and I was still mad that I had to go, but at least I had some money to go. And I remember I'd run across from the side of the Shamrock to the Adams Motel to cross the road. And you had to be quick because them cars used to come pretty quick. And anyway, I got to about the middle of the road, and I almost slipped and broke my neck on the damn deal. So I got up because the cars were coming. I ran across, and I'd seen that I slipped on a pile of money, you know, and it was all coins, you know, quarters, 50-cent pieces, dimes, and pennies, nickels. And I guess somebody dropped a bag of them because it was a big pile, you know. And me as a kid, I go, wow, you know. So I had bulging pockets full of change. Oh, I forgot about getting their stuff at the store, but I finally had to go back and get their stuff. And then when I walked in, they seen, what are you so happy about? I had my pockets full of quarters. In fact, I was so naive back then. The quarters I was picking up off the road, if they were bent, oh, I don't want that one. I just go for the straight ones, you know. So all the bent ones I was throwing off to the side. So when I got back and gave them their groceries they ordered, my sisters heard, oh, money on the road. So pretty soon all Santa Rita was on that road picking change. My sister got about $12, and the other one got about 15. I got 40 something. I was just walking proud there. So, and you know, never heard who dropped that, or it was never in the paper or nothing. I don't know.
So you went across the street to that little store across from where the Midas and all that is. Is that where you went?
Right up from that, right on the side of the Shamrock.
That's where the store was?
No, that's where Adams Motel was.
Yeah.
And then I'd go to the store on the opposite side of the street. Next to the Shamrock used to be, I can't remember his name because he died a long time ago, but he used to be a upholstery shop there. And the land used to belong to a Thibault, him and his wife, Elsie, yeah. Now, Elsie died, she had a heart attack in the house while he was hunting, and she had about 21 cats. And when she died, they got to be fed, and he wasn't there. So what do they eat? Yep. So when he got home, he just went nuts, and he brought out the shotgun, killed every damn cat in that house. But then they moved on after that. He did. Never heard no more from him. And the upholstery guy used to work for him. He had a little bitty deal next to the Shamrock on the opposite side there. I mean, on the same side. But I used to make, what do you call them, those upholstery buttons for him, for couches and chairs. He would hire me every now and then, tell my grandmother he liked the way I worked. So I think it put him out of business. Permanently, he went downhill after that because they had an accident one night. A car veered off and went through the building. So it destroyed his work area, and then he just died off after that, not too long after.
These cars, they were dangerous.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Blood Alley meant Blood Alley. We had I mean, you couldn't believe all the accidents. In front of that church, oh, there was a lot of accidents. One guy went through a window of a little sports car and hit the back of the truck that was parked with his, that was terrible. I mean, yeah, we've seen all that garbage, you know, it kind of scarred my mind. I still remember it anyway.
Do you ever remember a farm where the Salvation Army is at Russell and Main Street that had reindeer? Do you ever know anything about that?
I'm trying to think of what was there before that. It was, let's see, before the Social Security building, because my brother's wife used to work there. What was there?
There was a farm there at one time.
It might be. I can't remember. If I seen a picture of my friend's picture of Santa Rita, I'd probably tell you what, you know, because he knows a lot of them farmers too, and his last name is Fulton, but he's Native American also, and his grandmother who lived there by the school. They used to have a couple of houses there by the bridge. They did a lot of Indian customs and traditional stuff around there, and she would tell them a lot of stories too, and a lot of it I never knew, you know, but he's telling me lately all this, and then he's got paperwork to back it up. I've seen the paperwork, you know. I didn't think he was that much into it, but apparently he was, because he says, oh yeah, we couldn't get away from it. His grandmother made sure they knew all this stuff. So us, on the other side, we, more or less, they weren't allowed to talk about it or have any kind of gatherings, you know, because the prejudiced people. I'm just trying to think of who those people were that owned that house behind the There's used to be a big Victorian house behind the Shamrock too. That the Clark, I think their name was Clarks, used to live. They were the first city folk we had in Santa Rita, I think, that came and lived. They come directly from the city and moved into Santa Rita, you know, but they had a lot of things that we never had, so they could brag about them. Well, at least we got to see them. You know, back then, you know, you didn't buy a color TV. When the color TVs were coming out, if you didn't have any money to afford a color TV, you had to do what the next best thing was. And back then they were selling some sort of a cellophane deal that looked like a picture, and it had just a bunch of colors on it, and you put it over your screen of your TV so you can have color. Of course, some of them weren't the right colors to go to the deal, but that's the poor man's color TV. So that's what we were more or less, you know, black and white till, geez, I don't know, until about 64. We got the Indians decided, what's the name, JFK donated 29.1 million dollars to the California Indians. That's why we got our first TV color. It was in '64. They sent us a check for, I think it was $150 a piece. Well, there's 8 registered Native Americans in my family, so that's 8 checks. So I guess my dad says, well, I'll buy him a TV and keep the change. I don't know what happened to the change, but we ended up getting 2 checks. One was for $150, and the other check was for $648. And a lot of the Indians took it and, spent it because, they have no money back then. But some of them sent it back to the government because they went ahead and the money was presented to us for land that was taken. Well, they paid us 40 cents an acre for Carmel, Big Sur, Monterey, going up towards Gilroy. They paid us that much, but yet the miners were paying $20 an acre, and they only gave us 40 cents an acre. So then Kennedy gets snuffed, he gets assassinated, and the money hadn't been handed out yet. So we had to wait 2 more years until somebody else remembered, oh yeah, about this money. Well, now the interest, it went up to 31 million. We still only got the $648 because of the 40-cent deal, but the lawyers that handled that, they got their money first, and some charged $150,000, and there's about 16 lawyers, so they got their cut first,
You said that your family, they were registered just as California Indians, or was there a particular?
We are our own tribe. We're Costanoan. They got us in right now with the Echelon and the Ohlone, but that was only to make a nation. See, and you get 2 or 3 tribes get together, you got more say-so. Well, that's why they did that to us. Of course, I don't claim to be Echelon. I don't really claim to. I ain't no Ohlone Indian. That's farther up north. And the Echelon, my grandmother told me that the reason that the Echelon and the Costanoan tribes are together, because when they on the logo for the tribe, it says Costanoan / Echelon, and then it says Ohlone Nation. Well, I tried to tell them, or the tribe, and I'm still trying to convince them, because I know it's true, that the Costanoans were their own tribe, not Echelon. And that's the biggest kind of debate we got going right now, because they're trying, the head of the tribe now is trying to say Costanoan, and she can't even say it right. She's the chairperson for the tribe, is saying that Costanoan means coastal Indian. Well, maybe it does, but I'm not coastal. I'm not a Costanoan. I am a Costanoan, meaning rock. And my grandmother used to tell me that the Echelon and the Costanoans had a war way back when, and the Echelons won, so we were drawn into their tribe. That's where we have to stay that way. And I keep trying to say we were our own tribe. No, they don't want to hear it. But I've got different deals I've kind of, looked into that say that, hint around that we were our own tribe. And so when somebody asks me, I'm not an Echelon Indian, I am Costanoan. Coastal? No, it don't mean coastal. Because I said, when has the government ever referred to something legal as a nickname? They would not do that. They would say what it is. They wouldn't use a nickname to describe a tribe, So I got even on my papers, I went and lost my Indian papers. So in '84, I wrote the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they sent me back new papers. Well, on the deal, it says right there, it don't say Echelon, it don't say Ohlone, it says Costanoan. So that's what I go by and got my roll number. But we are supposedly not federally recognized, even though the government sent me a deal saying that I am, and that I fall under some kind of jurisdictional, I guess the laws that pertain to me are tribal laws. But that's only if you're recognized as a tribe, California, and we're not. We're trying for that right now. They gave us 47 acres in Fort Ord, but being our chairperson and other people that got caught with their hand in the till before we come into the tribe and knowing anything about it, they went and ruined that, I hear, and lost that for us. So we got, supposedly from the last couple of meetings, I understand that we got backers now that want to buy us land. They put up $5 million, and they will give our tribe the land so we can say this is our land, and then we can either build a cultural center or a casino. But I told them, don't bring up no casino right now. You guys are talking garbage. I go, what you want to see is that cultural center, something to promote the bloodline. So anyway, we're kind of in a debate over that. So one of our own people in the tribe sued us with our own money. And I don't know if he won, but they had to bring an arbitrator in to tell us, hey, you guys are suing each other with your own money. You don't be doing that. Anyway, so when they get that issue all ironed out, we're supposed to get, if we get recognized, we're supposed to get a big check and to start building. Now, the land that these people are supposedly donating or going to buy for us, we haven't accepted it because they have a bunch of lawyers, being they got so much money, that work for them. And I still call lawyers shysters. So I know they got little paragraphs they can put into a deal called fine print, so somebody don't understand. Well, I understand a little bit of that stuff, and one of the deals was that this guy was going to donate all this money, not donate, but buy the land. We'd pay back the loan, $5 million. But for him putting up that $5 million, he wants to have a permanent place in the tribe that collects gratuities. We don't want that. See, we want to be our own governed deal because we get recognized. I am the peacekeeper of protocol for the tribe, and I am the police chief. Now, I don't have a police force yet, but once we recognize, we have to regulate our tribe. They cannot, they have to know all the rules. They barely learning the rules to having a meeting. Some of these people don't never been to a meeting before. And you got to tell them, hey, you got this much time to talk. If you need time to talk, you ask this person here if they'll allow you to finish your deal discussion, and that's it. But some of these people, they don't pay attention to that, and they say, I have to answer to him, and they keep going, and it causes problems. Once we get the protocol part down, I think we'll make a decent showing here, because they say we're real close to being recognized. So, yeah.
Was the land totally lost at Fort Ord? I thought that.
Yep. I hear it's totally lost because they didn't act on something because of the lawsuit that was going on. And we had, like I say, 4 tribal council members. We kicked them off the council because they were doing stuff for themselves, not the tribe. Money's missing. One guy had 2 accounts open for donations to the tribe. One, he would take the donations, and then he would take the money out of there and spend it for himself. And then 4 or 5 months later, he put it back, the money, to cover himself, but he never paid the interest, and he put it into another account. So we kicked him off, and there was another person, she was the chairperson, and she got caught. She was bringing people into the tribe that weren't even Indian, just so she could get votes to stay in the position that she was in. Apparently, it got to somebody, because that's when the lawsuit started. We didn't even know that there's 700 members. We got 700 members, and that the most I've ever seen, maybe 50, 60 at a time. But we got a lot of people that live down in Paso Robles that came up for one meeting one time, and they thought that this person over here was a chairperson, but this was the chairperson, and because he was letting them think that he ran the tribe. See, so we had to fight them before. That's how we lost that deal in Fort Ord. Yep. It's not right that they did that, but when you see the greed, I mean, you know, you're supposed to do something for the whole tribe, not just for that one person. And when we start bringing that up, I mean, they didn't want to even discuss old minutes that was put on the meetings. We tried to bring, oh, that's old business. You can't bring that up anymore. Bull. You know, if I got a question, I go ask it's supposed to be, you got a question, you go ask the Indian Council, okay? They will go ahead and discuss it, and they'll give you an answer. If they don't give you an answer, they're supposed to present it to the chairperson, the highest, and they have to make a decision. But they never get back to any of us on this. So they didn't want us to know any of this stuff about this land grants they were losing and all this garbage, so we dug into it. But everybody in Santa Rita is Indian. My mom was called Santa Rita Indian, and her brother way back then.
Do you ever go out to lunch with some of them, get together once a month and go out to lunch together? You know that crowd?
Not lately. I mean, when all these people start moving towards Santa Rita, a lot of people left or died off.
Well, there's a group of them get together. They call themselves Santa Rita Indians.
Yeah, that's Delphina and all them. But
Yeah.
see, they went in. It's good. They can have their group. They are not a part of my group. You know why? Because of the fact that they registered not in Santa Rita. They registered in Hollister. See, that's why we don't recognize them as Costanoan, because of the fact that they tried to start another group over there. Well, there's Costanoans all over this area, but when we were taking applications for the tribe, they didn't put no applications in. So I don't know what's happening there. It's split. They got a lot of information, though. Don't get me wrong, because my cousin Nancy, her grandfather used to live in Santa Rita for years and years too. How would I say? Well, anyway, their whole side used to live up on Brutus. There used to be a little hill we used to call the Kinders. The Kinders were the older people, and the Sotos used to live up on the hill. And he used to be a painter or something like that, but he went into coin collecting. Anyway, my cousin Nancy, his daughter, she lives in San Juan Bautista now. She gave me a lot of information. You know, she's been looking up, and then I got my sister in Oregon. She's looking up information. That's how I found out I was a bloodline of a chief. See, and I didn't know that, but she brought it up, and she showed me that when her mom died a couple of years ago, her mom had this old ledger dated back 1906, and so she let me look at it, and in there it's got all the names of the registered Indians that were registered in that area. And she said, and this relation to your grandmother was a chief, so it has to follow down the bloodline. So I didn't know any of that, but that's the kind of information that she was digging up for me, you know, because there's not a whole lot. I'm just debating still over the Costanoan stuff, you know. I'm Costanoan, that's what I go by. Of course, my chairperson gets mad at me when I bring that up, because she don't want to be wrong, whatever. So.
Do you know where your family was in California? I mean, just this area, or?
They went from, all the way, my family, I mean, my grandmother's line went all the way from, like I say, Corral de Tierra over to Santa Rita. Our running grounds supposedly go from San Jose all the way to San Luis Obispo. They got the Salinians, Munskins, or whatever they call them, and all those different tribes. Well, like down in, I think it's Soledad or San Antonio Mission, the Salinians went in there and they telling the mission that they're claiming that ground as their running ground. But the priest over there, when our chairperson went over there and had a meeting, it's funny that everything inside that church is either Costanoan or Esalen, and not Salinian. They're just trying to claim more land, so they got more say, you know, for their tribe. That's what all that is. That's
There's a lot of politicking going on.
yeah. Oh yeah. You're lucky if you can get through a lot of that stuff. Yeah, but you know, when I was in Santa Rita, you know, I only had to learn was kids stuff and stay away from that highway. It was dangerous. It was, yeah, it was real dangerous.
When you were growing up in Santa Rita, did you know people living in Bolsono's or
I knew,
Rangers?
well, just the ones I went to school with, the Atwoods, the Iglesias, the Bockards, the Vestales, Coopers, mainly those guys. But okay, the Iglesias are not there no more. The Williams are not there anymore. The Atwoods, like I say, may still be there. In fact, I think they still are there. Now, I know that Chuck is the oldest son, I think, and he's the one that went to Santa Rita School with me, so he probably know some stuff about Bolsono's because that's where they lived, that's where they grew up.
But they're not part of the Costanoan.
No, they're not Indian. No, they're just people at school
Yeah.
that used to live in that area.
Where did you go to school? You went to?
Santa Rita School, elementary.
High school was,
Yeah. Oh, high school, North High.
Oh, you went to North High?
Yeah, and then 1 year of Hartnell. But
North High, oh, and Alvarez, that was there when you went to high school?
not Alvarez.
No.
In fact, there was
Not
uh,
Alvarez.
Skip Drive, isn't it?
yeah. But
Yeah.
imagine it with no houses and no field. I mean, no fences. That's the way it was.
Oh, so that was a high school there on Kip
It
Drive?
was built in the 60s.
Yeah, North High.
I think,
Yeah,
It was built like, didn't it open like 1960 or something?
something like that. 60, 62 maybe or something like that. I got out of there in 68.
There's a school there now, but it's not a high school. It's,
No, you mean, no, we're talking about North High.
North Salinas High School?
Yeah, it's still there on Alvin,
Alvin,
Alvin and Kip.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, got it.
that
Yeah.
was his kid.
yeah. We were there, you know, when they built it, I think, we were still running around that area. And then used to be open campus, not anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yes? Oh, I'm sorry. Was there crutching, you know?
So how was it going to North High?
That was good. I liked it. Got to meet a lot of different people I never got to meet, but what's good about it, everybody mainly got along with each other. Nowadays, everybody looking at you real mean and stuff, and it wasn't like that, you know. In fact, we had no black people in there in North High when I went until my last year. We got one black person came from Monterey. That was the first black person we had in North High.
So
And,
was everybody like Caucasian and Filipino and Mexican and
Yeah.
Indian and all mixed up that way?
all mixed, yeah. They didn't start this group and stuff until the gangs got into power. Then they start, you know, segregating themselves. And before it was, you could talk to anybody. And nowadays, you know, you talk to the wrong color, they're gonna jack you up later and ask you what's going on. You know, back then it didn't matter. You were just another person. Everybody was equal. You know. No, it ain't that way no more.
Did any of your relatives speak Spanish or they speak Mexican? Do you know?
My grandmother did, and her husband.
And what did they speak?
They're just Spanish, because he came from Spain,
Right.
and he, you know, it's a little different than Mexican.
Yeah.
And anyway, she understood it. She used to talk it to Mrs. Perry. Mrs. Perry, she used to talk it too, you know, or they talk Italian, and so you wouldn't understand. The kids ain't supposed to know what we're talking about, you know, that kind of deal. Get away, don't talk where the grown-ups are talking over here, and that kind of stuff, you know. We used to go on, my grandmother would take all us kids on a Sunday. We'd go down to the old stage road, And she knew some of the farmers, like I say, so we'd just pull over by this, I remember this wooden gate, and get over the gate, and she'd take us back for a couple of miles on an old dirt road and tell us about the plants and stuff like that, and kind of a nature walk deal, you know. But she knew all them people back there, you know. I never knew half the people. She knew the ones that used to own Tynan Lumber and all those people that she went to school or grew up with, I guess. You know.
Well, there was just one high school at one time.
Pardon me?
Just one high school at one time.
Oh, just one?
Salinas High.
Oh yeah, my mom. Yeah, my mom probably went to there. Yeah, because North High wasn't even there.
Your parents had a high school education?
My mom, not my dad. He quit in third grade. Back then, you know, it was during the time of the grapes of wrath kind of deal. Mm-hmm. So his mom put them all to work in the fields. That's where they learned. Then he went to work for Tom Mee up in King City, got into the cattle deal and horses, and then he became, ones that gives them shots, and then we went into, he made it a family deal. On Saturday, we go out to have to feed the cows, you know, so we'd have to go get bales of hay, and then you put it on the truck, and you take it and grind it up, and then you go feed 1,800 head of cattle.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And that was down in, because for a few years, when I was born in Santa Rita, but as I got older, around 6 or 7, we lived down in San Lucas for about 4 years, but we're back and forth to this house and then out to the ranch. So yeah, we had 1,800 head of cattle, and we was out there, you know, where there's nobody. The nearest neighbor was at 12 miles, you know. So you had to learn nature. We learned cows. Yeah, that's something else. I mean. It was a different experience. I look back at it now, I'm glad I did, but, you know, I learned a lot more. I learned that I like country life better than city life.
Did you, Robin, did you have any questions about the changes in the creek and the surroundings in Santa Rita?
Just that they got more modern. We used to have, let's see, like I say, a lot of the old buildings are gone. Like I say, you know, the Ponchi's Barbershop, they put the 7-Eleven and that Midas deal there. That used to be a junkyard. Then there was a junkyard, small apartments, cottage apartments, and then the surplus. The surplus was a deal that sold Army stuff. And, you know, as kids, we'd go over there, and we used to pay $2.50, and we couldn't afford real fishing poles back then, so for $2.50, you could go up there and choose a long bamboo pole, and you keep the eyes off of the old fishing poles that you find, and you would tape them around the deal, make our own fishing poles. And then we'd go to Moss Landing over there and go fishing. That way you just throw the poles away and keep the eyes again and buy another pole next time you go. So it was something else.
So when you played in the creek and it had water, and that was during the winter rains then?
Yeah, it used to rain quite a bit. Like I say, there used to be fish coming through there because my grandmother used to tell me that somehow that little Bear Creek joins up with San Luis Reservoir way up there someplace. She said that it went that far. And because we would see bass swimming through the creek, and then they would say that the dam had let out too much water, and they let the fish into Little Bear Creek. So the used to come over the banks, the water in the creek.
The headwaters are right there by Crazy Horse Canyon Road.
Yeah, the old place.
There are farm ponds up there.
Yeah, I used to, my dad said they used to go swimming right there. It's all dried out now, but he said they used to. But that's just what my grandmother said. I couldn't explain the fish. I mean,
Yeah.
We'd see them,
Wow.
you know, fish coming through. She goes, oh, they're letting water out of the dam again. That's
Yeah,
all she used to
there's
say, you know.
farm ponds up there.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was.
You had more wildlife, I guess?
Oh, pardon me?
Like you had deer coming through?
Oh yeah, we had deer running through there because, like I say, it was nothing but farmers' fields, you know. And the lane was the only place the animals really could hide, you know, because there was no other place to run. They couldn't, and if they ran through Main Street and they made it across the Blood Alley there, the hell, they were in free. They could run all the way to.
But that was the trick, getting across.
Yep, yeah.
Did you have animal kills on that road then?
Animals?
Things getting run over and?
Well, I lost about 4 dogs, you know, that used to get run over. You know, it hurts as a kid, really bad. But you're so close to the highway, you can't.
Yeah.
And we live right next to it. I mean, right next to the highway.
I bet your house shook when those trucks went by.
Yeah, oh yeah, it vibrated real good. And they used to go, back in the older days, they used to go faster than they go through now, because that was the original freeway, you know. And they think they got a blood alley up in Morgan Hill. No, no, no. Santa Rita had a lot of death. I mean, it's a lot of death in front of the Shamrock, in front of the Capitol and the graveyard. Yeah. One time we had a big diesel crashed up by the Night Owl up by the church, and it was carrying vegetable oil. And they came in metal cans back then, you know, square, and it was vegetable oil. So it was, when they came to empty the truck, because the truck got hit by another truck, well, they were throwing all the bent cans off to the side, so they gave them to us, so we took them around Santa Rita selling vegetable oil, you know. We sold everything, everybody wanted vegetable oil. You know, didn't know the truck was right at the top there, but everybody had money then. We were walking tall. Yes, we were. I used to go to when I was going in Santa Rita school, well, I was never like a PTA goer participant, but I noticed that us Santa Rita guys, every time they would have like a PTA meeting up at Santa Rita, you know, back then they had a little auditorium, you know, you're maybe lucky if you get 70 people in there, but they used to give free cookies and stuff. So we'd go over there and get free cookies when they were having the PTA meetings. And during they used to have, what do you call those, barn dancing type, square dancing. I did that for a while just to get cookies to eat, you know, because they said you can't, if you don't dance, you can't get in. I'll dance one to go eat some of them cookies. So we make our raid, and I learned how to, square dance. Yeah.
Did your kids go to Santa Rita?
No. No, when they were born, I was traveling, working for Bud of California. So I traveled to Huron, then to Hopeville, and then I'd go to Red Rock, Arizona, and that was way out in the desert, and just make the loop back. And they were born kind of when I was working for them, so they never went to Santa Rita school. They went to, wherever we stopped.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to be careful even on that, because we went to Huron one time, and my son, you know, he come home with homework, and we were just listening to him, and he was saying, oh yeah, this lady, she wanted him to draw the devil or something like that. She was into devil worship, the teacher, and trying to push it on. So we went over there and caused a big deal about it. You know, they had to let her go because she was teaching that to all the kids. You know, in different slow deal. You know, so a lot of them didn't recognize what was being. They thought they were just doing assignments. Yeah, we brought that out. That's why you got to be careful of schools and stuff like that where you put your kids. You know, it's really something else.
So are any of your kids living around here now, or?
Just my son, and I may be moving with him out to Prunedale. My daughter, she's in Colorado. She worked over here for Taylor Farms for a long time, and she went over there to work for Taylor Farms too. So she's still there. I got my 4 granddaughters. Two are twins. One's in Colorado State now, and the other one is going to be a journalist, and the other two are two kind of small. One wants to just be pregnant and have kids, and the other one, I don't know what she wants. The other one's too small.
These are your daughters?
My granddaughters.
Your daughter's children?
Yeah. 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 Very, very pretty girls. I'm glad they got out of Salinas when they did, you know, because they just happened to put their house up for sale right when they were the ones that were being bought, and they sold it. They got a nice place in Colorado up there, Monument, Colorado. I've been up there about 4 times. I just rent me a car and drive. That way I don't care whether I get lost. Yeah, it don't matter. I tell myself, well, I'm on vacation anyway. It don't matter whether I get lost. I'll find my way back, and I do. So then I go, and it took me 7 days to get to, 5 days to get to Colorado last time I went. I says, I'm going to take the scenic route because I wanted to go check out Route 66. So I went and found Route 66 and went through it for a long, ended up in New Mexico. So I hadn't been there before, so I just came straight up the state into Colorado. And then when I got done visiting there, I went straight up from there into Wyoming. And then Utah and Idaho, I go down through them and end up on the border of Washington and Oregon. And my sister lives in Salem, so I make a big circle.
You made a huge circle.
Yeah. Yeah. Some of the places I don't remember, you know, because I just said, well, this don't look right. I'll take a picture anyway, though. So, but I just don't know how to label them after a while because I don't remember that. But if you're on vacation, you know, that's the only way I relax. I have to do it every now and then to get a peace of mind. I don't mind driving by myself. I ain't getting in an airplane no more. Vietnam was the last experience I had in airplanes. And, you know, when they got some very pretty airline stewardesses, you know. When I went to Nam, they must have been all the rejects. Because I never seen a fat stewardess. I never seen stewardess with torn nylons. I guess they were expendable. And those are the ones that took us over there. Hey, so I says, oh, well, this is going to be a trip. Where'd they get these stewardesses at? I mean, they didn't look like regular stewardesses. They just, maybe they don't want to go over that way. Maybe afraid they're going to get shot down or something. Because they do have, what do you call it, enemy fire on that airport. It's something else. It's a freaky experience. But I went through an airplane that had those props, propellers on it, through a storm. And let me tell you, it shook that airplane so bad. And you're thinking, how is all that metal being held up here? You know, that's a long way to drop. Well, I decided after that, I'm driving. I'm not, no more airplanes. No. Yeah.
So I have a couple more questions about the creek.
Yeah.
And I'm real interested in the watershed, San Diego watershed. And
Yeah.
so during the summer, it was kind of on the dry side, I think.
Yeah, there was always water though in it. No, even if it was a trickle, there was always water in it.
Do you know where it came from? Any idea?
I know it came as far as Old Stage. You know, because that's the last place that I've seen that little reservoir or whatever they put out there. My dad used to say, yeah, that's part of Little Bear Creek. Well, it comes down that bridge you can see that's part of the route. Mm-hmm. And that has to be, it's got to be getting the water though from someplace else. I don't know why my grandmother told me Los San Luis Reservoir, but that's way out there. You know.
The headwaters are behind La Guanita School, you know, the corner of Crazy Horse and San Juan.
Yeah, where we used to fish.
Up in those hills there, that's the.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
That's the headwaters.
Yeah, that Lagunitas School's been around quite a bit. I mean, quite a while.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else did they tear down around there?
Did you know people in Gavilan Acres, Middlefield Road and all that?
Not too much. The only ones I knew out there were the Coopers. You know, they live below by the Posse Grounds.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right where that bridge is going. That little area right there, that's the Coopers live there. He used to go to Santa Rita School with me too. The kid did.
You covered a pretty big area.
And the Jeffersons used to own it. What did they do? There were some people called the Jeffersons. They owned up by Espinosa Road, that land out there. I think they owned the Jeffersons. I used to go to school with a kid too. Just so long that you know, you just forget about it, and then you think, oh yeah, that's right, they lived there. Yeah, but like everybody was related. My mother told me that all the time. She goes, everybody's related in this town. I'm starting to dig that up now. Yeah, I didn't know I was related to these people. Yeah. So it just ain't got enough history that's written down. I mean, a lot of people put that away, and you never hear about it anymore. You know, and they can't go look it up if it ain't written down. So.
That's why we're so glad you came in.
Well, I know there's people out there that know a lot more than I do, you know. If like somebody like my mother's age or something, if you were to get somebody like that to tell before I was born, they'd probably have some real good stories too, you know. But I know it was during the Depression era, a lot of transit used to go through Santa Rita. Like I say, my grandmother, she felt sorry for them. Take them in for, here, have a sandwich, soup, and you can go on your way. You know?
Amazing.
Yeah. But back then, I guess you could trust people more, I guess, or she could judge them by their personality or something. But yeah, she used to do that, you know, which was good, I guess.
Do you know how your grandparents made their living?
Let's see. Oh, my grandfather, my mom said he used to be an actor in the old Western movies. He used to ride a horse as one of the outlaws or something like that. She mentioned something like that he did that, and that he used to work for Warner Brothers. That's all I ever really heard about my grandfather, because I only seen him live, I think, about a couple of years maybe, and I was so small I don't remember a whole lot about him. But yeah, he died early too. But I just knew that he was supposedly from Spain and had Italian, and we lose him in Spain. They lose contact because there's so many people with his last name. It's really hard to verify which side of the town he came from, because they're all, that's just the way they were put. There's so many, like you look in a phone book, you see nothing but Martinez's. You see 100 different other Garcias, and that's the way it was over there, I guess, because my sister, she was looking into that, trying to find out, and she says, I can't get past this point. And she's using that history.com stuff to find out a bunch of this stuff, you know. So, but she, yeah, well, yeah.
I just need to know one more thing. Did you ever go to the rodeo?
Yes, I did. As a fact, I used to sell newspapers. My dad used to ride in the horse parade, because see, when we lived on the ranch, okay, like I told you, we used to come back to Salinas, then go back. Well, when we were over this end, it happened to be during the rodeo season, and he would used to work on a feed lot, what they called it, outside of Salinas here. And we lived a little bit in, there's this 2-story house out there. We used to live on the ranch, and we did the same thing. We fed the cows, he gave them injections and all that stuff. But he would have his, Tom Mee, who was the owner, the one that donated Mee's Hospital. Okay, he's the one, he knew my dad real good, and he used to tell him to take a horse and go ride in the parade. So he was always in the horse parade. And we used to go to the rodeo. We'd go over there and find somebody that wanted somebody to sell newspapers to get in, then we'd go sit down, you know, but we'd get in, you know, and then if hard up back then, you know, if you didn't know the area, you know, you could go all the way around the rodeo and walk in the back. So we walk in like we own horses and stuff, you know, so we'd get in, you know. But yeah, we used to work selling newspapers to get in or be in the kiddie parade or the horse parade. That's when the carnival wasn't where it is. The carnival used to be set up right next to West Market under the bridge. It used to be right here. You know, and mainly I'd go over there like for the float parades on Saturday and Sunday. That's when all of Fort Ord used to come down. That's where all the fights used to start, you know, Army against the Mexicans over here. They brought in the, I believe they brought in the National Guard one time because there was that much going on in that carnival. And then all of a sudden they switched it over here. So, but that was years ago too. Yeah, it was a big thing for us to go to the float parade. Be in the kitty caper parade, so they give you a rodeo ticket so you didn't have to go sell newspapers. So that's what we did, pull in a wagon, get 2 or 3 kids in there, everybody get a ticket.
That's a lot of excitement.
Yeah, oh yeah. Back then it was all right, you know. Kids could actually enjoy themselves. Nowadays they can't enjoy themselves unless it's daylight. You know, at night, it's too much. Well.
You have just been a wonderful interview.
Oh, I wish I knew more. I wish I could have.
Your stories are wonderful. They're just really.
Yeah.
I imagine there's some better ones out there, but that I haven't even heard myself. But you know, like I say, I liked it back then because of everything was open and you could trust people more. That's the way I seen it. Even as kids, you didn't have to worry, like I say, about locking your door or who had your kid over here because they're probably a relative and they're taking care of your kid anyway. You know, if you went to town, somebody could come over and take care of your kids. It was no big deal, you know. And I liked it because I could have a pet. You know, so I went through a bunch of dogs, but because of the shamrock, you know, they run out to get hit. And like I say, with a new batch of people that are moving there, what I see is old gang members raising young gang members to be in the same and branching out, and it's, you know, I don't like it. Of course, nobody mess with me because I already told them I take prisoners. That's a fact. So, you know, I got my partner, he watches the downhill, I watch the uphill, and that's it. Because you got too many people now that are walking around after 10, after 1 or 2 in the morning, 10 or 15 kids walking around the street. You know, shouldn't they be in bed or what? Yeah, a lot of the gang members are moving there. That's what's, yep, the Bulls and Knolls area. Yep, it's getting to where they're all moving out of town because of the shootings and everything over there, you know, but they're bringing it over here. You know, they just opened that deal, that Italian or Mexican restaurant or Italian restaurant right there. They already had the shooting. They already had a shooting there. They've had, for 2 weeks in a row, cops come out there because the one guy got shot in the parking lot. And then, you know, there's Arab people that own the store now, Oak Park. And what happened is they got hit about 3 years ago. Somebody went in there, and one of the guys thought he went to rob the store because they got a cash checking deal. Well, he went in there and tried to, I guess he's going to show that he was a big, brave man, going to stop this guy from robbing the store. So that guy turned around and blew his ass away. He shot him 5 times, killed the store guy. And so they never found him, but then I heard, and it was in the newspaper, that the Arab consulate was offering $10,000 for information because of a hate crime. See,
the Arab owner got shot?
Yeah, one of the workers, you know. But now what they're doing is, I notice that about every year and a half, they change the people over there and get a new batch in. Yeah, at the store, at the big market, yeah. Right. And there's always different people there now. You know, I don't know where they go, but maybe it has something to do with the princess markets, what there used to be labeled under, because when they got robbed, at the same time, the other princesses market over on Williams got robbed, at the same time. So there's a big plan. They were thinking it was a hate crime being that guy got shot so many times, you know, but it didn't advance him anything. He didn't get a raise except maybe a hole in the ground just for trying to save somebody else's money. But they must have thought it was a hate crime to put up the money right after that, the consulate.
That wasn't real recent, was it?
It ain't too far, about 3-4 years ago maybe.
Okay.
It wasn't very long for them before that happened. And then the other shooting took place at the corner there because they invited this gang members, Sureños and the Norteños over there. So they waited out in the parking lot, started a big fight, and the one youngster pulled out the gun and shot the other guy. So that closed it down. They opened it again now.
Yeah, it's a Mexican.
And there was a bunch of cops there the other night, so it ain't gonna last. You know, personally, I would have made a dry cleaning place out of it. Well, we don't have one over in that area.
Yeah, you're right.
Make some money over there, you know, because that place isn't gonna expand. Oh well, yeah, that's on them. I don't have that money to be doing that.
Well, we sure thank you.
Oh, that's all right.
Wonderful.
If I learn anything else, I'll be glad to relay it to you guys, you know, or if I can find somebody who wants to come and talk about Santa Rita that, or Bowls and Knolls, I'll get with you on that too.